We are said to live in the information age, where we all have access to vast amounts of data via our personal computers. But there is so much information available on the internet, it can be like going down a giant rabbit hole and leave us more confused than when we started. So where can we find nutritional, medical and scientific information we can rely on? Are the national newspapers a good source? The Daily Mail is a popular paper which often contradicts itself. In 2019 it announced that 1 egg a day lowers your risk of type 2 diabetes, and 18 months later announced that 1 egg a day increases risk of type 2 diabetes by 60%. The Guardian, among others, prints a lot of stories criticising the meat industry. It does so because it is paid to. In 2017, an American organisation called the Open Philanthropy Project gave the Guardian newspaper over $880,000. In return for the money, the Guardian runs weekly articles on the worst cases of poor practice and cruelty in animal agriculture in order to put the meat industry in a bad light. Why? Well, the Open Philanthropy Project is an investor in the company that makes the plant-based Impossible Burger, which will only increase sales if people are persuaded to eat less meat. It is much more cost-effective for companies to buy editorials than to place advertisements. Most people would trust their doctor to give the very best of health advice. In the 1960s, doctors and dentists were advertising brands of cigarettes. More doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. As your dentist, I would recommend Viceroys. Obviously they don't do that anymore, but the companies seeking a medical endorsement for their products are more subtle nowadays. They fund research in universities with the promise of more investment if the results are favourable. A research paper published in a scientific journal, which is then taken up by the mainstream media as if it is news, is a much better advertisement for a company's product than a traditional advertisement. If you're thinking, surely scientists wouldn't do that, you don't have to take my word for it. It is simply no longer possible to believe much of the clinical research that is published, or to rely on the judgment of trusted physicians and authoritative medical guidelines. I take no pleasure in this conclusion, which I reached slowly and reluctantly over my 2 decades as an editor of the New England Journal of Medicine. In the UK, the editor of The Lancet said, "Much of the scientific literature, perhaps half, may simply be untrue. Science has taken a turn towards darkness." We often hear a claim backed up by the addition of "scientists say" or "scientists agree," as if scientists were infallible and always correct. They are not.